Well, howdy, partners. Welcome back, all you fellers and little ladies. Welcome back. Guess what today is, guys? Today is the first day of this little thing on BookTube we call June on the Range. And I'm trying to get the range on my focus on my camera. Oh, heavens to Betsy. Focus. There we go. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg, and today is the beginning of June on the Range. Let's try that again. Little old. It's pretty nifty, I know. I know. Thank you, really, everybody. Anyway, welcome back, guys. It's that time of the season where we pull out all the stops on BookTube and we pull out our westerns, Western novels, Western history, American West, I should say, and we just celebrate all things. Just who doesn't love a good cowboy yarn? You know what I'm saying? And knowing that I cut my teeth, really, my baby teeth, on westerns growing up. I loved westerns. If you go back into the archives of all my previous videos around this time frame, I always have a June on the Range video. I know I featured my Louis L'Amour paperback collection, my Yellow Wing paperback collection, and I've got a few that are going to make an appearance in this video as well, because you can't have a June on the Range video without some Louis L'Amour. Am I right or am I right? Right. So going to show you a few books. Now, for those of you who attended the live stream that I did with Bill yesterday, I kind of teased a couple of the westerns that I'm currently reading and will be reading, and they're going to make it into this video because they are, well, at least one of them is just so far so good. It is so good. It has just engrossed me. Like, I can't wait to make this video, upload it, and get it ready for tomorrow, and then go back to my reading nook in my master bedroom, where I have big oversized bay windows. Sun usually shines, but on a warm day I have to kind of, I can cook in that seat, if you will. But I like to, I have a low recliner chair on the floor, kind of, really, and I just that's where I do all my reading. All my reading for book reviews, for buddy reads, for just reading in general. That's kind of where it's my new favorite reading spot. So can't wait to get back to this novel. So I've got, let's see here. What I've got is one nonfiction that I want to get started because I realize it really kind of elides a little bit with the this historical fiction novel I'm reading right now, this Western. And then I want to show you, and I teased this in the live stream to the viewers, to all you great 20 odd people that showed up, that I bought a very large Western. It was on sale, and I think it's the lowest it was going to go, was like $17 hardcover. It's over 1,100 pages. So see if you can guess which book it is. And it's not Lonesome Dove. I know Lonesome Dove always makes it into these things, and as great as Lonesome Dove is, and it was great, it was amazing. These are other books. We're going to give some love to some new writers and new Western releases. So now I'm currently reading this book. Okay, so I'm already halfway done. I'll be done with this hopefully this week, because I'll be writing a review of it for Shelf Awareness. This book is coming out in July 7th. And so far, so dang good. This is The Beauty of the Days Gone By Jason Stone. It's put out by Atlantic Monthly Press, which is an imprint of Grove Atlantic. It's this is the galley, the print galley, advanced reading copy. The book is about 466 pages, and it's wonderful. And it's covering this area of the West, what was known as Comancheria, um, the West Texas, 1836 to 1875. And it's based on real people. It's based on real events and the memories of the life and times of the epic cattleman Charles Goodnight and his associates, who friends and partners and people he interacted with, and it talks about the Kiowa and Comanche raiding war parties that were going on in the 1860s, mid 1860s. Still a very wild time. And the other part of the country is being roiled by the Civil War, but the people who are actually trying to homestead out here, they're getting picked apart by these raving war bands of Kiowas and Comanches, and it's brutal stuff. This book is very graphic in the amount of suffering, both on both ends of the spectrum, but really mostly coming from the standpoint of the way it's being told is through like memory. It jumps from 1866, at the time of this big war, this war raiding party that just decimated a bunch of farms and ranches, men, women, children, massacred, but then a lot of them were taken captive. So it talks about the experiences of white captives, especially the children that were taken, and how some of them assimilated into Comanche culture. So you do get that side point, or that that other viewpoint, of how it was to live in their culture. And I thought that so far, I mean, it's been really well done. But then it'll jump to like 1926, when Charles Goodnight is like a 90-year-old man telling his stories to this local historian from the university, a real person, who turned out to be his biographer, I think Haley Evett. Haley. Yeah. Anyway, he wrote a book about Charles Goodnight called The Cowman and Plainsman or something. So based on real events, based on Charles Goodnight's life, but fictionalized in many, obviously in different aspects. It's about a young boy who kind of, like a 11-year-old, 12-year-old, he's taken by the Comanches, ends up kind of assimilating into Quanah Parker's tribe, and looks up to Quanah as a father figure. Meanwhile, the real father of these boys that were abducted, R.L. Terry, is searching for them and has never given up. So I'm halfway through, and I can't wait to finish it. It is one of those deep, long books that really just suck you in, and you just kind of don't want to leave it, even though it's harrowing. The suffering in here of just living out in, this was an unsettled area and just brutal. The cattle trails, the herding of cattle up to the north, to Denver and all the markets north. And Charles Goodnight recalls just how much like suffering the cowboys did, going across the Alkali Flats. I remember those scenes from Lonesome Dove too. Like, they were brutal, like losing hundreds of head of cattle from just thirst, just falling out. It was an unforgiving land, not just from, not just from like nature, but just from the roving bands of Native Americans who were just bent on pushing them back at all costs. So I mean, it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying this right now, guys. So wanted to put this on your radar. I believe this is Jason Stone's. It's his debut novel, and Jason Stone, you're nailing it so far. I'm loving it. So wouldn't mind talking with him sometime in the future, hopefully. So we'll see, but I'm enjoying this. So I can actually say I've gotten a head start on June on the Range, and I'll report back to when I've finished the book. The other book I mentioned that I'll be reading this month, also for review and also by serendipity, it's considered a Western, I would think. But it kind of also time jumps. It's called part epic, part alt western. And this is Now I Surrender by Alvaro Enrique. I'm sorry. Should I have read the description of this? Because in case you didn't watch the live stream, I did read the description of this. I'll go ahead and read the description just so you have it. Okay, so hang tight, everyone. Inspired by real events, an epic Western novel about a legendary cattle rancher and a family torn apart by the violent struggle between Texans, Comanche, and Kiowa in the aftermath of the Civil War. 1866. On a sun-drenched stretch of West Texas prairie, the Terry brothers are playing idly near their family ranch when a Kiowa war party descends without warning. Their father, former Texas Ranger R.L. Terry, returns to a scene of devastation. His home in flames, his wife mortally wounded, and his two sons carried off into captivity. With the help of his close friend, the trailblazing cattle rancher Charles Goodnight, Terry spends years scouring the frontier in a desperate search for his boys, while his eldest son, his hopes of rescue fading, adapts to a new way of life under the tutelage of the legendary Comanche chief Quanah Parker. The narrative moves between the brutal post-Civil War frontier and the 1920s, where a 90-year-old Goodnight, nearing the end of his life, reflects on his role in shaping the West, his days blazing the Goodnight-loving trail and helping settle the land once known as Comancheria during the calamitous clash of cultures that defined the American West. Inspired by contemporary journals, testimony, and historical records, The Beauty of the Days Gone By is a cinematic, vivid, and impeccably rendered Western novel in the tradition of Lonesome Dove and Blood Meridian. So, yeah. It's already being talked about. So that's a synopsis for that. And now I'll be reading this one I'll be reviewing it for Historical Novels Review. This book came out in March. And I'll read to you the description on this one. Okay. This is a woman's desperate flight from an Apache raid unfolds into a sweeping tale of the Mexico-U.S. border wars. Orchestrated with a stunningly imagined cast of characters, both historical and purely fictional, Now I Surrender radically recasts the story of how the West was won. In the contested borderlands between Mexico and the United States, a woman flees into the desert after a devastating raid on her dead husband's ranch. A lieutenant colonel in service to the fledgling republic, sent in pursuit of cattle rustlers, discovers he's on the trail of a more dramatic abduction. Decades later, with political ambitions on the line, the American and Mexican militaries tried to maneuver Geronimo, the most legendary of Apache warriors, into surrender. In our own day, a family travels through the region in search of a truer version of the past. Part epic, part alt-western, Now I Surrender is Alvaro Enrique's most expansive and impassioned novel yet. It weaves past and present, myth and history, into a searing elegy for a way of life that was an incarnation of true liberty, and an homage to the spark in us that still thrills to its memory. And this is put out by Riverhead Books. So we've got another kind of mix of, there's going to be a section in here kind of going to modern day times, but mostly set during those days of, I think probably 1870s, 80s, when they were trying to get Geronimo to surrender. So these are two Westerns that I will have read by the end of June, so I'm very excited. And then I'll be showing you books that I hope to also start reading. I may not finish them in June, but the goal is to get them underway. So boom, these are my two that I can honestly report back on, since I am writing reviews for both. Now let me jump over to the nonfiction book. I showed this to you in I think one of my recent University Press new arrivals, a history, and this is from the University of North Texas Press. And I can't wait, because as I was dipping into this, University of North Texas Press, it's mentioning names that I'm reading in this book. There's a lot of name dropping in this book. So not only Charles Goodnight, R.L. Terry, you've got John Chisholm, another big rancher who was driving massive herds, to market. And John Chisholm, is in this book as well. So this is In the Days of Billy the Kid. And I still would like to interview this author, this historian. The Lives and Times of Jose Chavez y Chavez, Juan Patron, Martin Chavez, and Ignio Salazar. Let's see here. This is so it's almost 500 pages, but I would like to get into it. And yeah, John Chisholm is mentioned in here. But it's mostly about these guys. So let me read to you this description real quick. The legend of Billy the Kid and the Lincoln County War remains prominent in the annals of American frontier history. But for men like Jose Chavez y Chavez, Juan Patron, Martin Chavez, and Ignio Salazar, it was merely one famous epoch in a much broader struggle. The Hispanos of frontier New Mexico spent decades engaging in various forms of resistance against the corruption, exploitation, and violent oppression that frequently plagued their homeland following the conclusion of the Mexican-American War in 1848. James B. Mills, author of the award-winning Billy the Kid, El Bandido Simpatico, provides readers with a wealth of new information in his quest to tell the Hispano side of things. In a history largely centered around the lives of lawman turned outlaw, Jose Chavez y Chavez, intellectual prodigy Juan Patron, conservative journeyman Martin Chavez, and resilient vaquero Ignio Salazar. A study that extends far beyond the Lincoln County War and into the 20th century, In the Days of Billy the Kid, also explores the Jarrell War, the arrival of the railroads, the rise of the Herrera brothers, and Los Gorras Blancas, or the Whitecaps, the People's Movement in San Miguel County, and the infamous Vicente Silva and his Sociedad de Bandidos, Society of Bandits. Mills also casts some light on lesser-known bandidos like the dangerous Nicholas Aragon, the repentant German Mestas, and perennial jailbird, I know who that is, Porfirio Trujillo. Didn't he become a despot in Mexico, didn't he? Porfirio Trujillo, providing readers with fresh perspective, a wagon load of untapped history, and more than 100 photographs. In the Days of Billy the Kid is an unprecedented study of Nuevo Mexico in frontier times and the early 20th century that belongs on the bookshelf of any American West aficionado. That is yours truly. And if you're watching this video, that's probably you too, if you like American West history. And the fact that he kind of takes it from, looking at the Hispano side of things, I mean, that's fantastic. Let's get some different viewpoints in here. And I love the spine of this book. Look at that. Look how evocative. The beautiful painting. Yeah, it's pretty thick. It's pretty beefy, but I'd like to get started on it this month and see where we go from here. And I can at least report back to you some of my progress when I do a follow-up video in July talking about these two Western novels that I've read. So this is the one nonfiction that I would like to check out. Okay, and if I'm able to get a interview with that author, that would be outstanding. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just about. I'm not bored. I had a little bit of a yawn happening. It's Sunday afternoon, and I need to start reading. It's 3:30. Because I did a live stream earlier, and I thought, hey, let's make this June on the Range video because I'm going to post it tomorrow and be right on time with this booktube event. Okay, so now let's get to the good stuff. Well, there's all good stuff. It's all good stuff, but I've got a surprise here. So this is that massive Western novel that I decided to plunk some money down on. Over 1,100 pages. And I don't know how many of you have read this or plan on reading this or have started reading it or still reading it. And this is I'm not going to finish this in June. There's no way. But if I can at least get halfway through by the end of the year, because I'm telling you, this book is, okay, no, I take it, it's over 1,200 pages. It's insane. All right, I gave into the buzz. I gave into the peer pressure. It's a new novel. It's a modern novel, um, and I haven't read this guy's writing before. Many of you will know this person. I'm so sorry. Many of you will know this person from his very controversial but very popular book called House of Leaves. This is Tom's Crossing by Mark Z. Danielewski. Bam! Oh, man. This is a heavy-ass book. This is chunky. Tom's Crossing. And as you can see, author of House of Leaves, which I guess many people consider like, it's very experimental writing, but people have considered it scary. It makes you jump around to different pages, and it's all over the place. This looks far more traditional. This looks like a traditional novel. Nothing crazy. That's what I like. I don't like crazy stuff. Yeah, I just decided, you know what? It's been a long time since like Lonesome Dove and books of epic amount of pages. I mean, even The Beauty of Days Gone By is only 466 pages. I mean, this is nothing compared to this thing. Wow. But even this one is like, it's a long journey. This one is like, wow, 1,200 pages? Really? I want to see what it's about. So I'm going to try to start it after I finish these two other novels and see how far I get, and we'll just keep going. So let me tell you what Tom's Crossing is about. And what's interesting is it has a blurb it's a Western, but a blurb from Stephen King. Stephen King likes to get his blurbs on lots of different books. That's all I can say. Okay, you ready for the description? Let's do this. From the best-selling author of House of Leaves comes a magisterial novel about two friends determined to rescue a pair of horses set for slaughter. While what? Wait a minute, I thought this was a Western. Wait a second. Okay, while folks still like to focus on the crimes that shocked the small city of Orvop, Utah back in the fall of 1982, not to mention the trials that followed, far more remember the adventure that took place beyond municipal lines. For sure, no one expected the dead to rise, but they did. No one expected the mountain to fall either, but it did. No one expected an act of courage so great and likewise so appalling that it still staggers the heart and mind of anyone who knows anything about the Katanagos Massif, to say nothing of Pillar's Meadow. As one Orvop high school teacher described that extraordinary feat just days before she died, for sure, no one expected Kalen March to look Old Porch in the eye and tell him, "You get what you deserve when you ride with cowards." All right. Again, this is a description that tells us nothing. Okay. All I know is I was reading. I know that this is a history. I know it is. I think it might have a section that's on 1982. Yeah, some of what happened before is a section. Oh my God, this could be experimental in ways that I'm not really prepared for. Okay, let's see here. This is going to be an adventure. I'm going to lead this in because let me double check something real quick. All right, so yes, I thought it was more, I think it does dip back into history, but it's still a Western because it has all like the themes of that. I just kind of checked the site, and apparently this is a book unlike anyone has ever read before, much like his previous book, House of Leaves. But It's gonna be different. This is definitely different. Maybe I should have read his other book before I tried this one, but I mean, and look at the back. That is no one talks to the dead for free. I mean, this could be it could be wild. Uh, um, it definitely has, I've been looking at some of the dialogue in here. Is reads like a Western, you know, um, the very phonetic pronunciations and the spellings and everything is how people would speak in that Western dialect. Um, but yeah, I guess about two boys trying to save two horses from slaughter. But apparently, it's like an epic within an epic, and it's hard to describe it. So I'm not going to try to until I've read it. Anyway, yeah, I paid about $17 for this. Got it at I bought it at the evil Amazon, but I certainly couldn't pay full price for this. So anyway, I thought I'd check it out, guys. It could be a modern Western, whatever. I mean, June on the Range, as long as it's Western in feel, right? I mean, I guess it still fits the paradigm. I thought it was set in the West. Well, it is set in the West, but I thought it was more set back in time. But apparently, it could be 1982 with some weird little flights of fancy into the recent past. I don't know, but I'm going to check it out. Tom's Crossing. And yeah, the dust jacket is just very enigmatic. They're not telling you a whole heck of a lot, probably because this novel is hard to pin down. But apparently, this is like Tom's Crossing has been one of the most anticipated books for what was it, 2026? A much anticipated, like the blurbs are everywhere. A most anticipated book from, and this is coming from New York Times Book Review, Los Angeles Times, Boston Globe, NPR, The Guardian, Book Riot, LitHub, Washington Review of Books. Everyone's saying that this is, and then I guess the best book of the year from the Washington Post and the Boston Globe, Vulture, and Library Journal. So, and it's an editor's choice from the New York Times Book Review. So it's got to be good. And it's definitely Western themed. So we're covered. We're covered here, guys. Okay, so I wanted to double check on that. All right. And of course, we have to end with some Louis L'Amour. I'm going to show you a few of the Louis L'Amour, and then one other one that I really want to. We'll start with this one, Terry C. Johnston. If you guys like, just classic, like I guess Mountain Man novels and Old West stuff. Terry C. Johnston is one of the more well-known writers. I bought this trilogy in paperback because mass market paperback, but not the tall, narrow ones. I hate those. So much. So I'm kind of not sad to see mass market paperbacks go, but these smaller ones, rectangle sizes, I like these. And this is the first book in this trilogy that I've heard rave reviews about from people who, read a lot of Westerns, and they said this one was a great one. So this is Cry of the Hawk. This kind of marries two of my passions, which is Civil War history and Old West history. This has both. So let me read to you. Jonah Hook fought for the Confederacy at Pea Ridge in Corinth, where he was wounded, captured, and sent to the prison hellhole they called Rock Island. The only way out for the young Reb was to don a blue uniform and serve on the western frontier as a galvanized Yankee. Along the North Platte, Tongue, and Powder Rivers, Jonah Hook fights side by side with a buckskin scout named Shadrach Sweet. When he returns to his Missouri farm, he finds an empty house and overgrown land. Now it will take all the knowledge and hard cunning he acquired on the frontier to rescue his family from the brutal men who kidnapped them. Finding them will be the journey of a lifetime. So Cry of the Hawk is the first book. Hang on, let me show you what the other two are real quick. Let me grab them. Okay, so we've got Cry of the Hawk. So this is the first one, and I really want to start. And you can see the nice. It's a nice rectangles. It's not that tall, narrow mass market paperback that I hate. That you've got to break the spine just to be able to read the text as it goes down into the center of the spine. I hate that kind of stuff. So anyway, Cry of the Hawk, and then we have and then I think the next one in the series is Winter Rain. Okay, he's still searching. So I picked that up. I think I got Cry of the Hawk. This one, it looks like a new copy. I think these other two, well, this one, the third in the series, is definitely a used copy. It's yellowed. I ordered it. The spine is broken a bit. I mean, it's crinkled, but it's hard to find them, I guess. Yeah, this one is really yellowed. It's really yellowed, but the third one is Dreamcatcher. So, I've been meaning to start the series, and of course, June on the Range is a good time to get started with this one. Cry of the Hawk. Yeah. So there's those three. And then I'll just show a couple Louis L'Amours, just because I love Louis L'Amour, and I've read all of his books. And I'd like to reread this one because it does reference some of the I think it's set around the same time frame as the events going on in Comancheria. It references, sorry, I'm just giving it away. It references one of the forts. There's this neat map here. It references Fort Concho, which was right down in here. Where's Fort Concho? Right there. So when I was looking for a Louis L'Amour book, oh, I've confused the camera again. There we go. This little slim volume, only 150 pages. But this is Kilroan. I haven't read Kilroan in ages. These are these are the ones I read as a young whippersnapper. Still got them. This one is in pretty good shape, actually. There's no mold or water damage. Some of my other ones have like speckles on that are really yellowed because they were in my mom's storage for a while, but she found them all and sent them to me. So Kilroan, let's see here. Let me read this to you. Medicine Dog had sworn to take his scalp. Iron Dave Sproul was gunning for revenge. All the Bannocks and the Paiutes wanted him dead, but fast. It was almost too much for one man. Major Frank Paddock trusted him and gave him command of the fort. Betty Considine gave him her love and the promise of a future. But there would be no future if Kilroan didn't possess the rawest courage and the fastest guns the West had ever known. Yeah, baby. There's our guy. Always in our hearts, Louis. So Kilroan. Did he have some of the books always have like maps of the area where he's at, but I think this one is centered on Fort Concho. Yeah, and it kind of has the same look and feel of what I'm reading right now with this other book, Beauty of the Days Gone By. It just kind of has that feel, like he's kind of trying to stay one step ahead of the rampaging Comanche and stuff like that. So I picked out Kilroan, see if I can do a quick reread of that. And then I wanted to show you just one of my favorite short story compilation. He did a few of these short story compilations, and then they turned them into fantastic all cast productions, audiobook productions with sound effects and everything else that I still have on cassette tape, and I bought a few of them on CDs that I could have. But you can't go wrong with Beaudry. I love Beaudry. In fact, back when I was a kid in the 80s, they actually had full-length posters of the artwork for some of Louis L'Amour's novels, and they had this one, and I wish I knew what happened to that poster. This was a beautiful piece of artwork, and it was a big, tall poster of this. It was just Beaudry, and I loved this artwork, and it was on my wall, and that's what I wanted to grow up to be, was just not a Texas Ranger, but I just was like, I just want to be a cowboy. Isn't it crazy? So Beaudry. This one is okay. Let's see here. The whole compilation is called Beaudry, but it is a collection of Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like eight short stories. And a lot of these they turned into, like I said, audiobooks, full cast, sound effects like all over the place, like people walking, clinking spurs, gunshots, glass breaking. It was awesome. I love that stuff. They turned a lot of these into those, like, A Trail to the West, Beaudry Passes Through, Too Tough to Brand. One of my favorites is in this other collection, which is Where Buzzards Fly. I loved Where Buzzards Fly. That was a great story. South of Deadwood was a good one. Strange Pursuit. So here's another book in the Beaudry series that I have, Beaudry's Law. First time in paperback. You can see this one's got a little bit more of that aging speckle. This one's not as. These have been through some stuff. They've lived in several different climates. But now they're with me in the dry mountain air of Colorado, so they will not degrade any further. But I just wanted to share Beaudry because Beaudry was one of my first. I don't know, Beaudry's badass. Beaudry was a Texas Ranger. Let me just say that much. So, oh yeah, and he had a really cool first name. So let me read the this synopsis. Says the name is Beaudry. It was a name that caused the most hardened gunman to break out in a cold sweat. Chick Beaudry. He could have ridden the outlaw trail, but the Texas Rangers recruited him because they didn't want to have to fight against him. Pursuing the most wanted men in the Southwest, he knew all too well the dusty trails, the bitter cattle feuds, the desperate killers, and the quiet, weather-beaten, wind-blasted towns that could explode into action with the wrong word. He had sworn to carry out the law, but there were times when he had to apply justice with his fists and his guns. They called in the Rangers to handle the tough ones, and there was never a Ranger tougher or smarter than Beaudry. Yep. And then just some more, similar kind of jacket copy on Beaudry's Law. I might read a short story from one of these Beaudry collections, and I might try to dig out my CDs. Can't really play cassette tapes anywhere anymore. My CDs of these audiobooks, which are so much fun. So yeah, a little bit of Louis L'Amour to wind up this June on the Range video. Well, let me know, guys, what you think of my selections here. Like I said, I'll have feedback on 2 of these because I'll have written reviews. I could either point you to my written reviews or I'll just give you a brief synopsis of them. Want to dip into some Billy the Kid history, looking at it from the Hispanic side, or Hispano history side, Mexican side of that whole time. And then an experimental Western set in the 20th century, I suppose, and but maybe going all over the place. We don't know. It is, again, a novel unlike anything people have read before, apparently, at least for Stephen King. I don't know. Tom's Crossing by Mark Danielewski. And I'm going to try dip into a little bit of, that's not the one, though, Terry C. Johnston, his trilogy on Jonah Hook, former Confederate soldier who is on the hunting for his family. Cry of the Hawk. Let me know if you read these, if any of these. I'd like to know. And of course, let me know what you think about Beaudry. And I'll be reading Kilroan because it kind of ties in with what I'm reading right now. All right, guys, I'll leave it there for now. I look forward to your comments. Thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. Appreciate you being here. Tell me in the comments what you're reading for June on the Range. I'm very curious about that. And if you have any recommendations for me, I'm always open. I'm always looking for new things that I haven't even heard about yet. So thrill me, surprise me in the comments. Okay, guys? All right. So until next time, have a great one. And happy June on the Range. Yeehaw! Wait a second. That didn't work. I was looking here it is. There you go. Alright, guys, until next time, we'll see you.